Let's just dive right in, shall we? Welcome to today's explainer. Look, I want to start by validating a very real, very specific frustration you might be dealing with. If you're over 40 and you're waking up totally exhausted, holding on to this stubborn belly fat that just absolutely will not budge, or you're lying there staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night with a racing mind, well, you are probably incredibly frustrated. And honestly, who wouldn't be? Most people in this exact situation just blame getting older, right? Or they blame their mattress, so they go out and buy a brand new one. They drop a fortune on expensive sleep supplements. But what if literally all of those efforts are completely missing the actual root cause? I really want you to ask yourself this direct question. Why do you always wake up right around 3 a.m.? It's like clockwork, right? Well, you need to know that this is not just some random sleep disturbance. And it is definitely not just, a normal part of getting older. What we are actually looking at here is a purely biological, chemical problem that is happening inside your brain right now. You see, it's like you have this chemical switch, and it is completely locked in the on position. Today, we're going to reframe a heavily misunderstood hormone, cortisol. Now, most people think cortisol is just entirely bad news, but instead, we're going to look at it as your body's midnight fire alarm. And right now, for a lot of you, that alarm is just blaring when it should be completely silent. So, here is exactly how we're going to break this down in our explainer today. First, the midnight fire alarm. Then, habit 1, the light trap. Habit 2, the sugar crash. Habit 3, the mental off-ramp. And finally, number 5, resetting your sleep chemistry. Okay, let's get into section 1, the midnight fire alarm.
So cortisol definitely gets a terrible reputation, but the truth is it's not inherently bad. Not at all. It's actually your body's built-in alarm clock. In a perfectly healthy body, cortisol is literally designed to peak in the morning. It's the exact chemical that gets you out of bed, makes you feel alert, and gives you that energetic push you need to tackle the day. You actually really want cortisol. You just want it at the right times.
Notice the stark contrast here. A healthy cortisol rhythm peaks early, and then, kind of like a setting sun, it slowly drops throughout the afternoon, hitting rock bottom at night. And when it drops, your sleep hormone, melatonin, takes over. Simple, right? But look at the modern cortisol rhythm. Modern life has basically completely reversed this natural cycle. Your cortisol stays artificially high at night, and when this happens, your brain literally thinks there is a life-threatening emergency. I mean, think about it. If a physical fire alarm is blaring inside your actual house, you're not exactly going to fall into a deep restorative sleep, are you? No way. Of course not. Moving right along to section 2, habit 1, the light trap. So right behind your eyes is this tiny little cluster of cells acting as your body's master clock. And guess what? It only speaks one language, light. For basically all of human history, when the sun went down, it got dark. That darkness told the master clock to drop cortisol and release melatonin. But today, we blast our eyes with artificial blue light from our phones right up until bed, just scrolling through social media like it's a vital nutrient. And clinical researchers actually did a really fascinating study on this. They compared people who read from light-emitting tablets versus those reading printed paper books under dim light. The results? Absolutely staggering. The screen readers suffered a massive delay in melatonin and their cortisol stayed artificially elevated. Their circadian rhythm literally, physically shifted. Basically, when you look at bright screens at night, you are essentially staring into the midday sun and casually asking your brain to go to sleep. It is biologically impossible. You are actively suppressing your body's ability to power down. So here is your absolute first strict rule, represented by the number 2. You must create a digital sunset exactly 2 hours before you plan to sleep. You've got to start aggressively controlling your light environment. Turn off those harsh overhead lights, switch to warm, low-level lamps. If you absolutely desperately must look at a screen, you've got to wear blue light blocking glasses or at least turn the screen to a really warm amber tint. Just by simply dimming your environment 2 hours before bed, you're sending a powerful biological safety signal to your brain. The master clock registers the darkness, that emergency alarm turns off, and your cortisol naturally plummets.
All right, section 3, habit 2, the sugar crash. Let's talk about late night eating. I absolutely love this timeline because it makes the invisible stuff, visible. Let's say at 8 p.m. you eat a heavy meal, or maybe you just snack on some starchy carbs. What happens? Your blood sugar spikes. By 10 p.m., you're asleep, but your pancreas is busy releasing insulin to deal with that spike. Because you're resting and not actively burning energy, all that insulin causes your blood sugar to rapidly crash right around 3 a.m. Now, Biology 101, if your blood sugar drops too low, you die. so your brain perceives this drop as a massive, life-threatening emergency. By 3:01 a.m., just to save your life, your adrenal glands release a massive surge of cortisol and adrenaline to force your liver to release stored glucose. Guys, this is exactly why you wake up at 3 a.m. wide awake, your heart is racing, you're feeling anxious. It is literally a chemical rescue mission. And clinical studies confirm this. People who eat late have a significantly flatter cortisol curve, which means it stays stubbornly high at night. Think of eating right before bed like throwing heavy logs onto a fire right when you are trying to put it out. Your engine is still running at full capacity. So instead of engaging in cellular repair and deep restorative sleep, your body is forced into intense digestion and blood sugar management. And that right there is exactly why you feel so incredibly sluggish the next morning. Which brings us to our second hard rule, represented by the number 3. You must establish a strict fasting window of at least 3 hours before sleep. Just stop consuming all calories. Drink water, maybe some herbal tea, and that's it. By going to bed with an empty, settled stomach, your blood sugar remains incredibly stable all night long. We're talking no spikes, no crashes, and absolutely no 3 a.m. emergency cortisol dumps. Your digestive system finally gets a break, and your nervous system gets to shift deeply into repair mode.
Moving on to section 4, habit 3, the mental off-ramp.
For those of you dealing with racing minds, honestly, this might be the most impactful habit we cover today. To understand it, we need to look at your nervous system's 2 main gears. First, the sympathetic gear. That's your gas pedal, your fight or flight stress response, heavily driven by cortisol. Then, the parasympathetic gear. That's your brake pedal, your rest and digest state. When you lie in bed worrying about tomorrow's tasks or replaying some silly argument you had, your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a real physical threat and an imaginary stressor. Psychological stress triggers the exact same cortisol release as physical danger. Psychologists actually call these unfinished tasks open loops. And these open loops keep your cognitive engine just revving in neutral. You are literally slamming your foot on the sympathetic gas pedal while trying to go to sleep. Now, there was a brilliant clinical study at Baylor University that proved the solution to this. Researchers had one group take just 5 minutes before bed to write down a detailed to-do list for the next few days. The other group, they just wrote down tasks they had already completed. The results were wild. The group who wrote the future to-do list fell asleep significantly faster. In fact, the time they saved falling asleep was actually comparable to the effects of clinical sleep medications. And that's just from writing things down. No pills, just paper. So the absolutely crucial point here is how you execute this. Step 1, get a physical pen and piece of paper. Seriously, do not type this on your phone, because the screen light will just trigger that light trap we literally just talked about. Step 2, do a complete brain dump. Write down tomorrow's tasks, the problems you're trying to solve. Just get it entirely out of your head. And step 3, by putting it on physical paper, you actively close the mental open loop. You biologically signal to your brain, hey, we have this captured. We don't need to hold on to this anymore. Your brain finally gives itself permission to let go. The gas pedal lifts, the brake pedal engages, and that cortisol drops. Okay, final section here, number 5, resetting your sleep chemistry. Listen, if you string these 3 habits together, you're not just trying out some trendy new sleep hack. You are physically changing your brain chemistry. Let's recap. Rule 1, a digital sunset 2 hours before bed to signal darkness to your master clock. Rule 2, fasting 3 hours before bed to prevent that chaotic 3 a.m. blood sugar rescue mission. And Rule 3, a physical brain dump on paper to close open loops and take your foot off the gas pedal. When you combine these 3 things, you manually turn off your internal fire alarm. You're going to fall asleep faster, you'll actually stay asleep, and your body will finally be able to tap into its fat stores for energy while you rest. You'll wake up actually feeling refreshed with real, steady energy for the day. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What will you accomplish when your fire alarm finally turns off? Think about it. What could you do with that kind of clear focus and steady energy? I highly, highly encourage you to test these 3 habits starting tonight. Give your body a few days to adjust to this new rhythm. And honestly, I would absolutely love it if you came back to this explainer in a week and left a comment about how your sleep has transformed. Because your results, they might be the exact push someone else needs to finally take control of their health. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.